is in fact pretty random. Now, you might see small patterns within randomness, right? Now, most technical traders and analysts are pretty good at that, but you're going to be wrong a lot. And every time you do that, every time you're wrong, every time you take a loss, what happens is you're triggering ancient emotional patterns that perceive that loss as a threat. And what's it going to do, this emotional brain? Well, it's going to trigger instantly to fight, to flight, or to freeze, or a combination of. That's what. So it's either going to try and flee to avoid. If you've ever tried to get into a trade, okay, but you simply found that you want more confirmation. Well, in that moment, you've experienced flight. You've experienced avoidance. If you've ever gotten to a profit position, finally, and then you find yourself feeling the urge to take your profits right then, that's you feeling scared that the trade may not reach your target. It could lose. It's oh my God, moving from a profit to a loss. It's not loss of money. It's loss of life to your brain. Okay, so you've got that. Now, it could fight. So, for example, if you take a loss, your brain is saying, I'm going to fight that. I'm going to get it back. I'm going to beat that animal up. I'm going to beat the market up. Now, this sounds crazy, I know, but it's true. This is what's happening below conscious threshold inside your brain. Now, with revenge trading, or I'm going to aggressively go in and going to make things happen okay, that trait was really good for a group of guys, males, going out hunting down a woolly mammoth, where life was really dangerous and you had to very firmly believe that if you bought down the woolly mammoth and you fed your community, you would get great status, you would get great respect. And importantly, you would get first dibs in the breeding rights for perpetuation of the species. This is how these traits get passed through the generations. These are very strong drivers. And you can also understand how alphas might come in here. They want to make things happen. They want to be in control. And then what they do is they get into trading where there is no control and they blow up. It's very common for alphas to blow up trading accounts. So that's what you're up against. You're up against this brain that has created patterns that were intended to keep us safe and alive another day. Not about the long-term future. It's just staying alive for another day by just knocking out losing and having to control the outcome. And then it was a way of establishing your identity too, because you had status if you make money. In trading and in life, a lot of our status comes from our belief making money makes us powerful, makes us matter. Yet what you discover in trading is the goal is not making money. The goal is performing. Now that leads us into checking if we understand that this is an evolutionary problem. We have evolutionary psychology, which I've been talking about, built up over millions of years, that simply isn't up for trading. How do you go about retraining that brain so it can engage uncertainty with a disciplined, impartial, patient mind? Well, the first thing you have to do is to understand what an emotion is. And it's not psychological. It's what's called a biological action potential, a BAP, whose purpose is to coordinate action between the environment, which could be really dangerous. Think of those ancient cavemen thinking that there was a saber-toothed tiger behind every bush, and the organism. Now in trading, the environment is the charts, the market, and the organism is you, the trader. So what you're seeing is beyond that you get this notion starting to emerge that is really important, and that is that all thinking is emotional state dependent, not the other way around. When you're looking at your charts, it really depends on what your emotional background is as to how you perceive them and think about the market. All those squiggly lines, all those indicators, they are representations of threat, of opportunity, of emotions. So the first thing that we have to do is to begin to recognize what is an emotion. It's not what I thought it was. It's not psychological. It actually blows out psychology because the psychology thinking is following the emotional lead. So the emotions lead, psychology follows. Think of it in this sort of metaphor. The emotion is the locomotive at the front of the train. The thinking is the caboose getting pulled along. And the engineer driving the locomotive are your beliefs that you have about how you handle uncertainty, how you manage uncertainty, whether or not you believe that you can, or whether or not you're scared and that uncertainty presents itself as a threat. This is essential to understand. So once you get into that background, you go, right, the first thing that has to happen is you have to learn how to regulate emotions. Now, fortunately, emotions are biological action potentials, coordinating action between environment and organism. Okay, that's what an emotion is. Therefore, you can actually alter the emotion simply through altering the way the body is handling the situation. This is great news. That's why breathing, diaphragmatic breathing, or also known as bellows breathing, or even belly breathing, is the first thing to learn, the first thing that I teach my clients. In calming that down, you alter the emotion. This is a real breakthrough that I want you to take out of this, that you can actually influence your emotions very quickly through diaphragmatic breathing. Now, when you're having problems, my promise to you is that what's happening is that the emotion is threatened. And this is what triggers the ancient survival impulse of attack or avoid or freeze. So what you're doing, you're saying that by breathing and breathing alone, you can actually get that emotion to calm down so that it doesn't wipe you out. So you have a much more significant hope of being disciplined and actually trading, executing your plan flawlessly. So beyond that, there's more, right? Secondly, you have to become mindful. Mindfulness is a key piece of the building a trading mastery mindset. You have to recognize that you and your thoughts out there, you and your emotions, you and your beliefs are not one and the same. What you call you, your beliefs about the world that you see, has been created by your brain, okay? The world's not out there. The world is in here. And the brain's creating something for short-term survival. This is the message that's threaded throughout this episode. The brain has created something that's designed for short-term survival, when what you actually need in trading is a mind built for long-term probability and prosperity. There is a really big difference. And this is where real cognitive dissonance arises for a lot of traders. So the first thing there is mindfulness, just stepping back out of that, and you're beginning to recognize that, the way I am now is just one organization of my potential, and I need to reorganize that. And the third thing is that you have to really acknowledge that the dark side lives within you. It lives within all of us. We all have that dark side, those demons, those dragons, that inner critic that lives inside you, that there is someone judging you, criticizing you, saying that you have to perform and make money in order to matter, or you'll never make it. You'll never make it. That's the inner critic inside all of us. Now, when what you need to know is that that's not you. That inner critic is not you. That is an aspect of your being called the inner critic, and it's highly destructive. Inside all of us is also what I call an adapted or an adaptive voice that's in this dance with the inner critic. The adaptive voice is something that your emotional brain has learned about your ability to manage uncertainty. And most people, when they get to trading, they find out that they do not have the core foundational beliefs about themselves to be able to engage uncertainty. And that, my friends, is what has to change. Then you're going to have to find much more empowering parts of the self, and being able to pull them up and to summon them up and to create the mind from those emotional programs, rather than the emotional programs that were hardwired into you through evolutionary psychology and in your family of origin. And this is, in essence, what mindset reflexology is. It's discovering those more empowering parts of yourself and pulling them up on demand to create the mind that you need to engage the uncertainty of the markets rather than engaging them with the mind that you brought, which is hardwired from evolutionary psychology and your family of origin, your upbringing. So in doing that, you bring a mind, or you build a mind that can be disciplined, can be impartial, that you can calm yourself down, and that you can think clearly. And you need to think clearly in trading. And you find the courage to look at the stuff inside your own head that you don't want to see, that you've been denying, those dragons living within you. And trust me, we all have them. So what we realize here is the whole key is that dark part. That's where the light's at. And as you learn to say, in mastering my own personal darkness, my fears, my dragons, I bring forth a much greater light, a much more empowered mind to engage the uncertainties of trading and, in fact, of life. And the last thing that you're going to have to do is not only you're going to have to summon that mind, build that mind, you're going to have to actually engage the uncertainties of life. So we build it whilst we're engaging the uncertainties of life, the challenges of life, the uncertainties and challenges of trading with this new mind. Losing just means that you landed on the wrong side of probability. It's not an indictment about you. In fact, losing is the way the brain learns. If you're winning, your brain's not learning. Losing is the way the brain learns. So the other thing that you're going to have to learn is that winning is not a big deal. No bigger deal than losing. It's only landing on the right side of probability. So when you get this, you realize, okay, right, the big deal in trading is being able to build a mind that can engage uncertainty and focus on performance. Yes, because if you have an edge in your trading plan, what you have to do is build a psychological edge that can drive that plan. That's where this all comes together. You build a mind that engages the challenges of living, and you believe that you can master your destiny. Not a performance, your destiny. You can master the mind that you bring to performance that gives you the best odds of success. And part of that learning, that evolving as a person, what you're doing is you're also becoming a really good loser. Now, I'm always curious about how people react to me saying this. Part of evolving as a person and as a trader is becoming a really good loser. You're keeping your losses small. You're not panicking, and you're realizing it's not about you. It's about landing on the wrong side of probability. That's all. You have an edge now, and you can invoke it on demand. You can power it. And that edge, that psychological edge, that is going to extract more capital out of the markets than it puts back in. That's how you build the mind to engage and manage the psychology of trading. And that, my friends, is the mind you need to build. Okay, I hope you're really enjoying this episode. This is a really, really fundamental discussion about the mind needed for trading. Now, before we wrap up, I see there's a couple of questions in the chat, and I think we've got time to cover one quickly. So what do we have here? Melina is in Stockholm. Great. Hi, Melina. Thanks for tuning in. Her question is, I've loved this episode, really eye-opening, Ash. Is there a particular step that is more important or that I should definitely start with when building my mind for trading? Thanks very much, Melina. Appreciate the feedback, and 100% yes. Emotional regulation is the foundation of a solid trading mindset. So don't skip the importance of training yourself to regulate your emotions. And breathing, diaphragmatic breathing, is the foundational tool to control emotions. Not avoid them, not ignore them, not push them away, but just to see them coming, that emotional arousal, see them coming, but have the tools and the skills to step straight in real time, instantaneously, and quell those emotions. So that allows your rational mind to stay online and execute your trading system. So all of the other skills that come down, the mindfulness, the reshaping the mind, all are very important, right? You know, all of these things work together. But at the base of it, you must have the skill to regulate your emotions. Otherwise, you'll never open the door to the mind to do the work to rebuild the mind. Okay. Hope that answers your question, Melina. Great question, and thanks for coming along. Okay, folks, that's it. That's it for today. Thank you for tuning in. Before we go, just to cover off the 4 ways or few ways that I can help you. So first and foremost, subscribe to my YouTube channel. You've just got to type in Mindset Reflexology into YouTube search box. That'll take you to the Trading Psychology and Mindset show. All of the past 40 plus episodes, lots of other videos, and I'm constantly adding new stuff in there. So subscribe to that, click the bell so you get notified. There's so much great content in there. If you prefer to read things or as well as YouTube, go into LinkedIn, find my profile, follow me, but also subscribe to the newsletter, which comes out every week, which is a transcribed written newsletter that a lot of people prefer to read rather than necessarily watch. Come to my website, the Mindset Fit or mindsetfitmethod.com. There's always going to be great resources on there. And of course, that's where my training programs sit. So if you want to take the next step by enrolling in one of my training programs, that's where you go and find out all about them. And there's courses there for both beginner and advanced traders. Or if you feel like you might need some advice or help right now, book a one-on-one chat with me. I love having those, no cost. It's purely about pointing you in the right direction and diving in deep to help you out. So just DM me on LinkedIn or send me a message, email, that's fine. Okay, so wherever you may be in the world, thank you so much for joining me. I love this episode. I hope you've really enjoyed it. I wish you a week of mindful trading ahead, and I will see you at the same time, same day next week for the next episode of the Trading Psychology and Mindset Show.